So welcome back to 1MEFC. It's been 28 days since we last recorded our video, almost 28 days, and we have our regular panel, and we are in the semi-final. Sorry, not semi-final. Yes. We are in the finals. Finally, we are in the finals. The finals of the Europa League, the tournament, from which we got eliminated last year in the semi-final. We got totally bullied by Sevilla. We were in total control of the game, but then, you know, as usual, as it happened yesterday as well in the second half, we completely fell off, from the track, and our defense was in shambles. And last night it was the same story. But before coming to this Europa League final and everything, let's talk about the campaign that is going around Old Trafford, that is going in Manchester, against our owners, against our greedy owners who've been, uh, destroying this club for the last 16 years. Let's talk about the Glazers. Let's talk about the people who, who came into this club, who thought that this club will actually work as a money making machine for them, and it has actually worked well for them, because every year they have took money out of our club. Every year, they succeeded in taking and sucking the soul out of this club. And to be very honest, for the last 16 years this club has been losing its proper identity, its proper soul. Yes, we were winning the leagues. Yes, we won the Champions League under them, but the campaign was still there in 2010. You know, in 2010, the Green and Gold Army was still there. They were protesting against the Glazers. They were so reluctant, uh, of throwing Glazers out of this club. But 10 years later, we are still there. We are still struggling to make, a proper statement against them, and we are still struggling to throw them out of this club. So, coming to you, Vignesh, I mean, it has been a very, very long journey, with the Glazers, and it has been a very painful journey for us. It hasn't been a happy ride, and the people that protested against the Glazers, during the Liverpool game, and eventually the game got called off, and I was a bit, disheartened by the fact that we will not be able to watch Liverpool versus Manchester United. But as the time went on, I eventually realized that this is much more than just a single game. This is about our future. This is eventually about, the status of the club, the condition that we are in. As Gary Neville said, the Old Trafford is rotting. The training facilities at Carrington is nowhere near where the top five clubs are, performing at the moment, in the development area of their club. The youth system is still not there when you compete with Chelsea in terms of, the youth system. Chelsea has a history of producing, some tremendous players, but we, as United, as we say, youth, courage, and success, we haven't been delivering that well in the recent years. In the last couple of years, yes, the talent has, what I can say, evolved, within the academy. But if you look at the bigger picture, we are still not there. We are nowhere near where we should be. So, what are your thoughts on the Glazers? And what are your thoughts on the protest that took place, during the game against Liverpool?
I think it was a boiling point. I think it was just a matter of time before people were going to come out on streets again to protest. Again, the Super League was going to be not a good option anyway. That turned out to be boiling point. But I feel that I don't know how to summarize Glazers really, because under Sir Alex we were winning trophies. Glazers were still there. So they were spending and we were winning the league titles. But the only thing that bothers us about so much is that they don't put the money into the club. Old Trafford is crying out for renovation. The roof still leaks. There is no screen inside the Old Trafford. As you said, the training facility sucks. Our training facility right now is not even in the top 10, let alone
Yeah,
top 5.
yeah, absolutely.
So that explains everything. And look at the city. Look at Manchester City. I mean, the way they've improvised their training facilities and the Etihad Stadium as well. I mean, it just not show off. It shows that they are serious about their stuff. The other owners are now putting the money in rather than taking out. So it's been what, 2 billion been taken out of the club. that is just a humongous number. I mean, we just pray that Blazers would might sell. Let's see, but they're surely not the right people to be taking charge of the club.
Absolutely. Surya, as Vignesh said, that they tried, you know, destroying the football pyramid of English football. And not just English football, but the world football. They tried, you know, to make a breakaway league, you know, where they can earn money each and every year, irrespective of the position that the club will finish in. And, there was no way that the club will suffer a relegation or an elimination from that league, irrespective of how they'll perform. So, they are eventually trying to destroy the game that we all love. The English football structure, the Spanish football structure, clubs like, not clubs, but the people who are running these clubs. People like Florentino Perez, Glazers, Stan Kroenke. So these are the people who actually thought that they could do something like this and can still be, what I can say, stay unharmed. But the fans have made this very clear that you cannot do this. This is our game, this is our club, and we are taking the charge here right now, and will not let anyone destroy the football structure, the football pyramid, as Gary Neville said, and as many of the pundits said that they'll never be allowed to do this. And FA has to do something about this, and the fans has to do something about this, because more than anyone, this club belongs to the fan. Not just this club, but each and every club. Let's talk about Arsenal. Let's talk about, even let's talk about Man City. I mean, they don't have enough fans, but the number of fans that they have, the club belongs to them and not to anyone else. The owners are there to eventually, finance the money into the club. But you cannot suck the soul out of a football club. You cannot disregard the wishes of the fans. So, what are your thoughts on this, Surya?
Okay, so I was extremely disappointed when I came to know about the Super League, the whole concept of the Super League, because as Gary Neville kept saying, that it basically breaks down the whole pyramid, that the football pyramid, the football structure that has been there. So we'll no longer see underdog stories anymore. The Super League was to take place now. For example, as we're seeing, West Ham are having a really good season. So they are all set to get European football this season. In all probabilities, they continue the way they're going about, and they might, like I looking at things, I think they'll end up in a Europa League spot. But if things go very well for them, they might even end up getting a Champions League spot. So you don't really know. So having this whole concept of the breakaway league on the basis of your history, or not even history, it's just about money in the end of the day. Because for clubs like Man City, you really don't have much of history, but it's all about money power that's ruling the entry into the Super League. So I feel it just breaks away all the ethics and all that football stands for. The whole value of the game is lost, is what I feel. So I was in no way supportive the concept of a breakaway league.
Absolutely. Nipun, we as non-resident of Manchester don't really connect with the actual problems, that the club is going through, because all we see and all we care about are the transfers. Eventually for us it's about the footballing side of the club. It's about how we are doing in the transfer business. How we are performing on the field. But for the people of Manchester, and I have to be really sympathetic with them, because they pay the money to go to each and every game. They know the trouble that the Old Trafford is facing at the moment. The trouble that the Carrington is facing at the moment. The trouble that the players are facing, because due to the lack of facilities, we all know how bad of a structure we medically we have at Old Trafford right now. Because during 2013 and 2018, we suffered huge number of injuries until Solskjaer arrived, because he changed the whole system inside the Old Trafford. He actually changed the schedule of the players and the way they were being trained. So wha- how do you connect yourself with the fans that are living in Manchester, and do you really feel that we as a global fan base has a huge responsibility on our shoulders to to take the baton from them and to spread this protest, and this, you can call it as a wildfire, among the whole fan base, because eventually we have to work as a unit, we have to work as a big family if we want to throw Glazers out of this club.
Exactly, Mohak. So, Mohak, regardless of where anyone lives, right, we all love this club.
Absolutely.
That's how every one of us is connected. I'm
Absolutely.
connected to you, Vignesh, Surya, because of this. I didn't know you before this.
Absolutely.
Now we're like brothers because of this.
Absolutely.
So, were we in England, were we people from Manchester, we would have been there in that uprising and would have like screamed our hearts out, like we do in
There's no
screaming
doubt. There's no
every
doubt.
match. So, so what? So on our part, yes, we can't go there and do whatever those people are doing. On our part, what we can do is we can boycott whatever official merch these people bring up, because everything is going in their pocket, right? It's not like they are investing this money, the fan money, into the club. No, they are not. They've taken billions of money out of our club, and they will happily do it again. So on our part, the, these people, the fans who are going, the actual stadium going fans, the season ticket holders, they need to continue doing what they are doing, and they're doing it at a very, very good level. Like calling off United versus Liverpool, the biggest game in England.
Not just in
That
England,
takes some
arguably
doing.
the biggest game in the world. You know,
Yep. By history and all. So that actually takes something, and these fans were able to do that. Now that is a huge step, and if you're able to do that much, I'm pretty sure that if we unite again like this and keep uniting, we will be able to push these Blazers out. Because see, for them, United is just a cash cow. They don't really care about anything else.
no,
And this ESL was a huge failure for them, because that would have generated a shit ton of money for them. Okay, now that we couldn't go there, now that fans will boycott them, all the former players are speaking
coming out and
against
talking
them.
about it.
United share prices are going down. Once they see that yes, this business of theirs will not be able to generate money for them, they will have no other reason but to sell us, right? Because the only reason they are here is because United is the biggest club, biggest venture anyone can think of
Absolutely.
as the source of money. And when they joined us, we were the club who was never in debt, right? Since our inception, we were never in debt, and these people came in, and we have quite a lot of debt now. Yeah, so these people, they need to go. We are slowly taking the steps, the right steps. We just need to keep hitting the hammer, right? They just say that it's not the 100th shot that breaks the stone, it's always the 99 before that. So yeah, we are going there, and we will eventually crack them. We will.
Absolutely. You know, during their time as the owners of Manchester United, the only good thing that I will say that they have done is appointing Solskjaer as Manchester United manager. Seriously, to be very honest, the only good thing that they have done for this club is appointing a person who knows this club inside out, who really connects well with the fans, who really connects with the emotions of the fans, and who has been a fan of Manchester United, throughout his career. He was a player at Old Trafford, for 13 long years. And after that, he started coaching the youth team. And after that, he returned back, as the caretaker manager. And from then on, he has took the responsibility, the overall responsibility, to guide this club, to make this club once again relevant. Because for the last 7 years, we were never relevant, to be very honest. We were always in the shadow of, our neighbours and Liverpool and Chelsea. But for the first time in these many years, it looks like that Manchester United are building towards a better future. They are building towards the future that we all want, for Manchester United. And if there has been one person who has taken, all the bullets during the last 2.5 years, it has been Solskjaer. Because he lost four semi-finals, four semi-finals again and again. But it's not the success that teaches you how to succeed, it's the failures that teaches you how to succeed. And that's what Solskjaer has learned from his failures. every semi-final that we have lost, there was something that we could have cheered about, but the end result was something like that we went out of the semi-finals, so we disregarded the positives of that game. But yesterday as well, we were absolutely pathetic in the second half, but we are happy because we are in the finals. But had we been out of this final, because of our second half performance, it would have been once again a horror story for Solskjaer. All the fan base would have turned against him, and the media would have turned against him. But it's not happening right now. And actually, I haven't seen anyone talking about how well Solskjaer has managed Manchester United. No one is giving him the credit. You look
That
at our
won't sell the
summer window.
papers.
You look at our summer window. We targeted Jadon Sancho. We shouted and shouted and shouted and cried our heart out. That get Jadon Sancho. We can close the gap on Man City and Liverpool. We can eventually compete toe to toe with these two teams for the title. Sign a centre back. Sign a centre back. Sign a centre back. We cried our heart out for the centre back. We cried our heart out for a defensive midfielder player. Eventually we ended up getting the secondary targets, and the only signing that I'm happy with that we got in the summer window was Edinson Cavani, a player
Doesn't matter
that
now.
we all thought won't make it in the Premier League, won't make it in the Europe because he has passed his prime. He's aging, he's injury prone, he might lose his stamina, he might lose his character that we all know Edinson Cavani is. He's a pure goal scorer. He's a typical number 9. He won't let you down. If he's not scoring, then he'll provide you something with his off the ball movement. But those are the signings that Solskjaer made and no one else. Bruno Fernandes, people give the credit, to Bruno Fernandes for overturning the whole scenario for Manchester United. But people never admit the fact that, Solskjaer was the one who brought Bruno Fernandes. Solskjaer was the one who asked, United board to sign Bruno Fernandes in the summer of last year. But the United board resisted. They resisted from paying 60 million for Bruno Fernandes, and eventually they paid the same amount of money in the winter transfer window. So what's the point of delaying the transfer? Had we succeeded, in bringing Jadon Sancho to Old Trafford in the summer of last year, we would have, fought toe to toe with Man City for the title. We would have.
Exactly. Right.
We would have. There is no
Even
doubt.
Ruben Diaz. Solskjaer has scouted Ruben Diaz for 2 years.
Yeah.
United. He was constantly backing Ruben Diaz as a primary target, but the Glazers didn't pay the money for him, but they paid the same amount for Maguire, who was his second target. So I don't know. Now Sancho, same thing again. 120. They what was the short evaluation? 10 million. That we couldn't get him because we were not willing, and you paid that 10 million for Facundo Pelistri, who I don't think will who's a good prospect, but does he make us title contenders? No, he doesn't. Will he? I don't know. Jadon Sancho will. He would have, and only because of those 10 million, he is not there with us. So I mean, you can see how fucked up the
And not just
owners are.
not just Jadon Sancho. I mean, if you look at the structure that we have, in the transfer market, it all fucked up. It's like United are after players, but eventually they are getting the secondary and the third choice targets. So this is the kind of approach that we had in the transfer market, and this has to change if we want to win trophies, if we want to win the Premier League once again, if we want to get back to our level, where United should be. Then we need to improve our approach in the transfer market. Vignesh, coming to you, you are a huge Jadon Sancho fan. You are a huge Jadon Sancho fan. But before coming to Jadon Sancho, let's talk about Solskjaer's journey as a Manchester United manager. Let's talk about the progress that he has made. Coming to you, how would you rate Solskjaer's, career as a United manager till now, counting all the ups and downs?
If I have to give it a number out of 10, I'll give it, let's say 8. 2, because I'm not giving 10. I would give 10 out of 10 because for me he has turned the tables around. of the club. I mean, the changes he's brought to the club. I mean, every player is now dying to play for United. I mean, the players that are here, they're fighting for the badge. The fitness levels are absolutely huge. We are playing yesterday was 52nd or 53rd game of the
Yeah,
season, if I'm not wrong.
yeah.
So that shows our fitness levels. I mean, it just speaks for itself. That and I would give 10 out of 10, but people wouldn't let me because the trophy thing. So, but I'm sure in a couple of weeks, few weeks, matter of time before he wins his first one. Uh, yeah, I mean, we can speak hours and hours about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but he is the man for us. I mean, I said that in the previous podcast as well. I mean, I hope and I really wish that he can be our next Sir Alex Ferguson.
Hopefully he will be. The way he is continuing and the
Yeah,
way he has handled the situation around him with all the criticism and all, he is showing the character that is required to lead Manchester United as a manager. And coming to you, Nipun, you know, uh, Solskjaer was in tremendous pressure last year, during December when the club was not winning games, when the club was struggling, when we did not had Anthony Martial, when Pogba was injured, and we were forced to play Andres Pereira and Jesse Lingard. Andres Pereira in a centre mid role. Can you imagine Andres Pereira in a centre mid role? And Jesse Lingard, yes, I know he's doing well at West Ham, but the football that he's playing at West Ham, and the system in which he's playing at the moment is entirely different from what we are playing at the moment in Old Trafford. And even if he returns back to Old Trafford, I won't be so sure that he'll replicate what he's doing at West Ham right now, because when teams play West Ham, they tends to play freely. It's not like they'll sit deep, because they know they can defeat them. But when teams play teams like Manchester United or say Man City, they tends to sit deep because they know that the players that they have in the team, you know these teams can hunt them down any minute. So a player like Jesse Lingard, who actually needs spaces to play his game, who is not that skillful, who can can run past them with the pocket of spaces. So how would you rate Solskjaer's man management, as a manager in this 2.5 years of his management?
Yeah, it's good that you asked this man management, right? Had you just asked me what I would rate him, I would break it down into different aspects of his
Yeah,
managing, right? You say man management, that's definitely a 10. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Look at the players who have developed under him: Shaw, Marcus Rashford, Greenwood, Harry Maguire, for everyone. I name the first three as forwards because they are directly under Ole, but others as well. I mean, they've been huge, man. Under Mourinho, Shaw couldn't even make our bench, right?
yeah,
And right now he's the best left back in the league. So that speaks volumes about how man management can change a person.
absolutely.
On okay, on other departments, okay. Earlier, Ole wasn't the best tactician, right? I would rate him very low, but slowly he has improved on all the fronts that I used to have complaints from him. He has literally improved in all of them. Be it substitutions, he's making them better. Be it decisions, be it team selection. Now everything is slowly starting to fall in place. Earlier things were very haphazard. We didn't know which United team would get selected, how they would play, what substitutions would be made. Right now we have some definition. We know where we are going, and that's a very very good sign.
Absolutely. So coming to you, Surya, yesterday we
yeah,
saw the monstrous David De Gea. The David De Gea we know, the David De Gea we love, the David De Gea, that we all would die for. And yesterday was a performance, and
absolutely.
Vignesh, Nipun was not there, but Vignesh and I were discussing last night on Discord that in the last game against Roma in the first leg, De Gea was very casual. And I'll say this once again because I felt like this, that David De Gea's performance against Roma in the first leg was very casual. But last night, what experience will bring to the table,
Absolutely.
because the way he carried us throughout the game hadn't been that for De Gea or say Cavani, we would have been out of this semi-final once again, because we could have easily conceded 6 last night. 6 goals. Can you imagine, after scoring 6 at Old Trafford, we could have easily conceded 6 at Stadio Olimpico. So that tells a lot about, the kind. And when your goalkeeper is your man of the match, when your goalkeeper is your best player on the field, you can clearly see that the defense is not working, that the defense is all over the place. And that was the story last night. De Gea was a sole warrior. If you can keep Cavani out of the picture or Bruno out of the picture, there was no one who was actually fighting for Manchester United last night. And I'll say this once again, that as much as I love Dean Henderson, I still don't think that Dean Henderson is still ready to be United's number one. I still think that Dean Henderson, it will be better for Dean Henderson to wait for one more year before taking the charge from David De Gea, on a full-time basis, and to be Old Trafford's new number one. This is what I feel. I don't know about you, Surya. So tell me about your thoughts.
Even I 100% agree with what you say. Like, at the moment, in my opinion, David is still a number one. He has to be a number one at least for one more season, clearly. Because, like, we saw clearly yesterday what experience can bring to the table. Like, yesterday, if it wasn't for him, I really don't know what could have happened to us. Like, the number of the number of saves he made yesterday, and I don't know, like, and even I felt even our defense yesterday, they looked really shaky. I don't know, was it in the back of their minds for some reason they had the fact that we're going to play 4 games in 7 days. Do we take it easy? Do we don't put much effort into it? So we conserve our energy for the next 4 games? I don't know if that was one thing in their minds, but everything looked so casual, especially in the back. Especially in the beginning itself, Luke Shaw looked quite vulnerable, and then even Eric Bailly, I don't know what happened to Eric Bailly yesterday. He looked really
Eric
shaky.
Bailly was being Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly was being Eric Bailly.
No, but what it more or less felt like we did not have a second centre yesterday for some reason with Eric Bailly. He just looked so shaky. It reminded me of his first game. Yeah, and Davide absolutely saved us yesterday. And even coming back to Dean Henderson, I believe one more season it's good if he waits, because next season we're going to have fans in the stadium. It's going to be 75,000 people in Old Trafford. It's not. I'm saying when
there will be a different pressure. There will be a different pressure.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same as how it was at Sheffield United.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a completely different ball game. So I think it's best if we can have both of them for one more season, and Oli manages the situation well, manages more or less equal game time for each of them. Like, I wouldn't mind if Oli keeps rotating as well, but I believe it's too early to make Dean Henderson our complete number one by making him making him keep for all the Premier League games and make him keep the Champions League games. I think it's too early for that step, and I think we should wait on.
Absolutely. In my opinion, what Solskjaer should do, and he has to do it, give David De Gea 25 games, in the Premier League. Give Dean Henderson 13 games in the Premier League, plus the Cup games and the Europa League, or sorry, not again. Give him some of the Champions League games. Fuck's sake, God, please don't do it. Give him the chance in the Champions League, and that will be perfect for both of them. De Gea getting the chance in the Premier League as well as in the Champions League, and Dean Henderson getting the chance in some of the games in the Champions League, and getting 13 games, at least 13 games in the Premier League, plus the Cup games, the EFL games and the FA Cup games. So that will be, I think that will be a perfectly balanced situation for both of them, and especially for Solskjaer, the headache won't be there, because both of the players will get, I guess, equal number of games on an average basis, because if De Gea is getting 25 games in the Premier League, and let's say 10 games in the UCL, all right, so that will be 35 games of the season, and Dean Henderson will be getting FA Cup games and the EFL Cup games, and including 13 games of the season in the Premier League, or say 4 games in the UCL as well. So So that will be around 20 games, 25 games. So that will be a very good thing, In that case, we can manage both of them pretty well. I have already talked about, the Glazers. We have talked about Solskjaer as well. We have talked about, bit about David Day and Dean Henderson. But let's talk about a 34-year-old striker, that we bought as a free agent in the summer. And everyone had doubts about, how he's going to perform, including me. Because, it's somewhere there in the back of your mind, when we buy a player, who is aging, and especially a centre forward. Because for a centre forward, his peak years is from the 27 years to the 31 years. These 4 years are his peak years. And when you buy a player who was 33 last summer, and will be aging, and Cavani has clearly showed that you can never keep experience out of the picture. You can never discount experience. You can never discount the quality that the player of Cavani's stature brings with him, because he's not just a goal scorer, he's a leader, he's a mentor. He is the kind of a player who will nurture your youth players, who will nurture your young players, players like Rashford, players like Greenwood, who will take them under his wings, who will teach them, what are the characteristics that they need to develop, in order to enhance their game, in order to improve their game. And it is quite visible in Greenwood's game that he has improved massively, not just in terms of his positioning and all, but in terms of his overall play. Because last summer, when we used to discuss about Greenwood, we used to discuss about the number of goals that he is getting for us. But this season, it has been more than just about the goals that he's scoring for us. He was struggling to get goals at the start of the season, but as the season progressed, we saw what Greenwood can do with the ball, and especially without the ball. Because for a forward, it's more important what he does without the ball, because his off the ball movements always helps to develop an attack. You look at Cavani, you look at Bruno, you look at Donny van de Beek. These three players are the key characters in the yesterday's game, because Donny van de Beek was creating so much space for Bruno to run through the channel, because he was pulling those two defenders towards him. And as I don't remember the name exactly who said this, that Donny van de Beek is press resistant, and yesterday he showed that once again, that Donny van de Beek is the kind of a player who can resist four players if they are pressing him. And you remember that move that Donny created. Eventually he got slipped inside the box, and the move fell off, but he was the one who started that move, and had that goal went in, it would have been one peach of a goal. Typical Manchester United goal, and not just say Manchester United goal, but a typical Ajax goal. That would have been a typical Ajax goal. So
I remember you messaging in the group yesterday,
yeah,
immediately after that move.
absolutely. So yesterday Cavani with that header, when he jumped, I thought this ball is going out. This ball is definitely going out. He is not going to hit the target, because the height at which he jumped, but the execution, the precision with which he directed his header. Yes, he missed. He could have got a hat trick in the first half itself. He missed couple of good chances in the first half, but
Yeah.
it's that one thing that Cavani always brings to the table. He's always brings the goals, and that mentality to the table that I don't think that many of our players currently have right now in the team. Yesterday, when we were absolutely fucking it up at the back, Cavani was the one who was turning around for us at the front. So Nipun, coming to you, how would you rate Edinson Cavani's whole journey as a Manchester United player, and not just Manchester United player, but as the number 7 of Manchester United, the cursed jersey, the cursed number? How would you rate his journey?
I don't think there's any scale with me where I can rate him appropriately, because 10 is too less for him if you consider each and everything into place. I would say 10 on 10, and that would be disrespecting Cavani because he has been so good. The curse of number 7, that's gone. He has literally taken that shirt, worn it with its weight on, and
12
completely
years.
smashed it.
12 years, Nipun, 12
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, since Ronaldo, and now finally a number 7 that is performing. That, and his movement. See, Cavani in his career, he has never been one of the most clinical finishers, but he has been a player with who is, in my opinion, the best the mover, who is able to create that space for himself so that he gets so many chances in a match. So in a match, he will miss his chances, but he will keep making those chances again and again for himself.
You
So
know,
out of those 10 chances,
sorry to cut you off here, Nipun. You know, if there's one thing, that Cavani brings, there's a lot of things that Cavani brings, but that one particular thing that he brings to the table is he can make those half chances into full chances. The and that one thing Anthony Martial never, offers to us.
the difference is huge, man. I can't even gauge the difference of how we play with Cavani as compared to how we play with Martial. With Cavani, everyone plays as a unit. Right? We know that ball goes to Cavani, then the wingers go here and there. Greenwood, he instructs Greenwood to do something. He instructs Rash. He demands the ball. Martial doesn't. He wants the ball at his feet. You can't use him as a target man. Yes, he is very good when on form, but his playing style is very different. It's not as impactful as this Cavani. Cavani brings the entire team together, and that's how we play. Like each and every player is involved in Cavani's goal. Bruno would play, the wingers would go out, Cavani would create space for him, so he will pull 2 or 3 defenders with him. So everything goes in a very, very good, like a symphony, an orchestrated movement. That's not something that you get with Martial, and that is something that will be really difficult to replace as well. I really hope that Cavani signs for us for the season, and that we are able to replace him with someone equally good. That's because that will be a really, really big miss. I initially didn't think he would have this impact. He hasn't played for 6 months.
None of
He's
us thought.
34.
None of us thought, to be very
Exactly.
honest.
Injury record is so bad. Like he's not a primary target. He's costing so much. Why are we signing him? Where are our primary targets? And now look at us. Cavani is the main man. Like just
Give the ball to Cavani. Give the ball to Cavani.
Exactly, man. If everything goes well, and if I were to get a United jersey, I'll definitely get one with Cavani at the back.
I am definitely getting one.
But
I'm definitely getting one.
yeah.
Even if he leaves,
Exactly.
I'll save it, because the guy has given us so much within such a less time.
At such an age, it's not like
Yeah,
he's in a
and
peak or
he
anything.
hasn't played half of the season due to injuries.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
The number of
That
minutes
iconic celebration.
that he has been onto
I
that
just want
pitch. Yes,
just
Nipun,
want
carry
that
on.
iconic. I just want that iconic celebration of his in front of the
Stratford end.
In
Full
front of-
jam-packed Stratford end.
That's it. That's what I want.
So
That's
Vignesh,
so great.
Vignesh, coming to you, Nipun said that he wants Edinson Cavani to score in front of the Stratford end, and to celebrate his iconic celebration, do his iconic that arrow thing. So, are you confident that Cavani will stay at Old Trafford for one more season? Do you want him to stay for one more season? And what will be the expectations that you hold with Cavani?
I think he's going to stay definitely, because there have been 3 or 4 journalists who have already mentioned that he's ready to sign a 2-year contract, one minimum with an option for another, of course.
Yeah.
But to sum up his journey, he's been quite sublime, since his arrival. I mean, I remember even myself. I've said, is this a good signing? I mean, the guy hasn't played football for 7-8 months, and
Yeah, he was
they're
out for
bringing
6 months.
in him on the 6 months. Yeah, and the guy is injury prone. Plus, he's came on the last day of the transfer window itself. So how good is he
The day we
going to be
conceded
fit? But
six. The day we conceded
yeah,
six.
yeah. Yeah, so had he came a bit earlier would have helped, of course. But as we know that he came as a Martial backup. He
Yeah.
came on to be a backup to Martial
All the
at the first place.
timetables.
But yeah, but now it's that yeah, it's now vice versa. Also, what I've been impressed with him lately that he's been managing to stay fit. I mean, earlier when he used to play, that he's been he played one game, the FA Cup game at Everton, then he didn't play the next two games where due to injury. Then again he played, then and again. So, but now in the past couple of months, let's say that he's been consistently fit, and now we can see what a fit Cavani can do.
Yeah.
I'm actually a fan of his, right foot. I mean, although he's in a lefty, that the two goals he scored in the previous two games against Roma, both on his right foot. In the first leg as well, the right hand top corner, and yesterday with that pace to hit on your weaker foot, sorry, it's sublime. So
No, Cavani is a right footer.
yeah, I think he's
Vignesh, Cavani is a right footer.
Cavani right footed.
Cavani is a right
is
footer.
he?
Yeah,
Is
Yeah,
he?
yeah. Right
Cavani is a right
Yeah,
footer.
yeah, so he's been a terrifically good signing for us, and I hope he does definitely stay with us. As I said, a few reliable journalists have already called it that yes, he's going to stay at least one more season. And as Nipun said, we have to prepare from here on. Now that we know that we don't have to look out for a striker. Let's look out for other positions like defensive midfielder and right winger. I hope again we get Sancho this summer or next summer. I really feel. Don't get me wrong, but if you do not get Sancho next season, I mean we will be in for another top four fight. Don't get
Absolutely,
me wrong, but
there's no doubt
the
about
likes
it.
of
To be very honest.
yeah, the likes of Thomas Tuchel, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, they're not gonna mess around. For Liverpool, it's been a disaster of a season. Thomas Tuchel just came in and he's shown that with the kind of players that Lampard struggled with them, he's made them a Champions League final.
Absolutely.
So
And with better
he's
football.
a pretty good.
With better attracting
Yeah,
football.
they're playing much better football compared to Lampard. So there will be much competition next season. So we must be ready for it.
Absolutely. Coming to you, Surya, uh, last season we were 33 points behind Liverpool. We were third, but we were 33 points behind Liverpool. Liverpool finished with 99 points, we finished with 66 points. This season, the story is different. We are second in the league currently, 10 points behind Man City. And if we can win our remaining 5 games, and if City, eventually loses out some points against Chelsea, let's say they manages a draw, then the points gap between the first and the second place will be reduced to single digit, will be reduced to 8 points. And that is a huge, psychological, what I can say, advantage for us, a psychological boost for us, because a team who clearly struggled last season, a team who actually reached in the top 3 because of the fuck ups done by Leicester and Chelsea at the end of the season. But this season the story is different. We had a terrible start to the season. We started pretty badly. The way we played against Crystal Palace, the way we played, though we won against Brighton, but we clearly struggled against them. We eventually lost against.
Game, to be honest.
Yeah, we were absolutely thrashed against Spurs, and that was the height the team could have reached to embarrass themselves, because had the crowd been there inside Old Trafford, and had we managed a result like that in front of the jam-packed Old Trafford, Ole would have been sacked the very next morning. And it has been a blessing in disguise, to be very honest, for Ole, because it eventually led him to make some changes within the team, to do some of his what I can say, psychological thing with the players, and eventually
Experimentations.
yeah, and and eventually boosting their confidence after such a horrific result. And we did
Yeah.
pretty well in the UCL. Yes, we eventually went out of the tournament because of our performances in the last three games, the only game that I actually was worried about was the PSG game, because we could have won that game pretty easily. The number of chances that we created at Old Trafford, the number of chances Martial missed that night, and that one decision Solskjaer made to let Fred step onto that pitch in the second half eventually costed us, the progress in the UCL. But
Agreed.
it has actually helped us, because this team was still not ready. Had we been
Ready.
qualified for the next round in the Champions League, we would have been out in the quarterfinals, maximum say semi-finals. We would have not crossed the semi-final stages, because the experience that you want from a team like Manchester United to qualify for the Champions League final or say semi-final is still not there. The Europa League is a second tier tournament of the UEFA, so it gives you a bit of hope that you can turn around things in this tournament, because the opposition will be of much lesser quality than what you would have got in the UCL. And yes, the number of games came pretty quickly and at a very fast rate, because UEFA Europa is a competition that it is a very compactly dated competition. It never gives you 1 or 2 weeks to prepare for the another game. It's always a 7 or 6 day break, and then you have to play again. So physically it has been a bit of a torture for us, but if you look at the fitness level, it shows that this team has been on top of their fitness level, and that's why they have managed to play these many games without getting so many players injured. Rashford has been playing with an injury, but yet he has played 40 plus games this season. Can you imagine a player who has been carrying
50
an
plus to
injury
be honest.
from the last season, has done so well? So Surya, what are your thoughts on our journey from the start of the season till now?
Okay. So the start of the season was pretty poor. Like we conceded 11 goals in the league in the first three games, which three against Palace, two against Brighton, and six against Spurs. It was a pretty terrible start considering the fact that how poor a transfer window also we had. It was more of a reflection of not getting our signings and things like that, and everyone was, and the team was at an all-time low, to be honest. After the first three games, we really didn't think, we generally thought that top four itself is going to be a struggle this season. But however, one thing I think we as fans sometimes miss out is, I think a major tweak Oli has brought about in his system in itself is something. In the first three games, what we saw is that the first game we played with, in the midfield we played with Pogba and Scott McTominay as our double pivots, and then we went back to Matic and Pogba in the Spurs game. And then again and again for the Brighton game, if I'm not mistaken, we played Fred and Pogba, if I'm not wrong. But then eventually he stuck, and these are three games, and then another game we lost to Sheffield. That day also we played Pogba and Matic. We have only lost one game, so then he shifted to a Scott McTominay and Fred system. However, we know that system lacks a lot of creativity, and that creates a lot of hatred within the fan base. When it comes, people like, there is just so much of negativity regarding that system in the fan base. But however, what I think is, we as fans sometimes fail to realize that system is what's working for us. I think it is quite evident yesterday that we can't rely on a double pivot of Pogba and Fred, or even, I don't even think even Matic and Pogba can do a job like how they did post lockdown last season. So I think that is a stigma we need to remove out of this fan base really, Aga, about how people see the Scott McTominay and Fred partnership. In my opinion, they've been doing a really good job. Like, I fully understand the fact that our creativity in itself gets cut off a lot, but considering the defense we have, it those two ensure that it doesn't get exposed that easily. So I feel that is something, that's a major change in system Oli brought about after those first three games, after those 11 goals we conceded. And it's statistically seen, we have only lost one game where we have had, it was that Arsenal game where, however, we did not play a double pivot. We played a
A
He played
diamond.
a diamond that day. We
Yeah.
had midfield of Bruno, Pogba, Scott McTominay, and Fred. That didn't work
Fred.
out, and however, we have never lost a game in the league when these two have played in the double pivot. So I think that's something we as fans or like the entire fan base should realize. However, I'm not saying you shouldn't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's the best combination for us to progress. No, we need a DM. If you need to progress this team, we need a DM. But I just feel the hate towards them and hate towards Solskjaer for playing that system. I think that's the stigma that needs to be
You
needs
cannot
to go
satisfy
out of the fan.
everyone, Surya. You cannot satisfy everyone, and Solskjaer's job is not to satisfy the fan base. His job is to win trophies at Manchester United and to manage Manchester United players in the better way. And you brought this topic, very well, that there is this stigma in the fan base that McFred doesn't bring the creativity to the table, doesn't offer that much in the creative department of our footballing side. But then again, they have to realize the fact that this is the best combination under the given circumstances. This is the best we can do, given the quality of players that we have at the moment. Donny van de Beek is a box to box player. He cannot play as a defensive mid. You know, Pogba cannot be held responsible for our poor performances when he has been put alongside Matic or say Fred in a center defensive mid role, because he's not a player who can play in a center defensive mid role. He is a typical number 8 or say let's say number 6. He likes to roam around in that midfield or say in the final third. So he likes to go up front, he likes to create chances, he likes to you know get those chances for himself. And when you talk about McFred, they are not the most creative players, they are not the most, what I can say, the most gifted players, but they are the most workaholic players in our squad. The work rate that they brings to the table is immense, because Fred can spoil the party, but he will run his heart out for whole 90 minutes. Yes, there have been instances where Fred was responsible for the goals that we conceded, including last night. The second goal that we conceded, it was all because of Fred. But then again, these kind of things happen in a football match. You cannot blame an individual for that. This football is a game of football. I'm actually not getting the exact word right now, but it's unpredictable. Football is very unpredictable, and you can never predict what is going to happen in the next second, let alone in the next minute. You cannot predict what will happen in the next second. Who would have thought that Solskjaer will win the game for us in the 99 UCL final with a header? You know, I mean, from a corner, because we were all over the place in the first 90 minutes. But then those 3 added minutes changed the game for us. So we have to keep on believing what this team is doing at the moment, and what Solskjaer is doing at the moment. And I think the fan base is finally understanding this, because the protesters that were there, outside Old Trafford that day before the Liverpool game, chanted their heart out in favor of Solskjaer, chanted their heart out for for Bruno and rest of the players, because they are finally realizing that Solskjaer is reinstalling every ethic that was missing from Old Trafford. He is reinstalling each and everything. The youth is getting ample chances. The the facilities at Old Trafford are improving little by little, and the connection between the players and the fans is improving as well, because players are now well connected with the fan base at the moment than what they used to be under Mourinho or under Van Gaal or under David Moyes. So definitely, there's a whole lot of improvement that we have noticed in these 2.5 years. And finally we are in the finals, finally we are in the Europa finals, a European final after 4 years. The last time we went in an European final, we eventually lifted the cup. That was under Jose Mourinho. And after 4 years and after a lot of struggles, Solskjaer has managed to get his first final in 2.5 years. And this is a very big achievement, to be very honest, because not a player, but a manager who was regarded as a PE teacher, who was regarded as a manager who just instruct his players to play with vibes and nothing else. So this is a huge boost for him, and huge boost for United fans who stood by him, who protected him throughout these 2.5 years. People like us,
Yeah.
yes, we had our doubts, but we never went for Ole out. We never said that he's
No.
not the right guy. We always said
Well said.
that he needs to learn, but we'll stick with him because Sir Alex's last words were, back your manager. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that has always been there in my mind. I have begged Jose Mourinho till the time he was here. I begged Louis Van Gaal till the time he was here. I even begged David Moyes till the time he was here. And no way I'm going to let the only person who care about Manchester United, to leave this club because of this fan base. Absolutely not. The results will not decide Solskjaer's future. The work he is doing off the field, and on the field will eventually decide his future. So, Nipun, coming to you, first final in 4 years in a European competition. Big achievement and a huge boost for each and every player. We have discussed this a lot that all this team needs and all this manager needs is one trophy. And this could be that one trophy that eventually put us on our track to success.
Well, see, like you said, to spur us on, we need that one trophy. But for that one trophy, we needed to cross that semi-final.
Yeah.
Right? We weren't able to for the last quarter. Now that we have, I'm 100% confident, man, that we are gonna go there, we're gonna play the best football, and we're gonna win. Not let alone best football, but we are gonna go there and do the business. Unai Emery, although he's very good at competitions,
Europa.
he's what one
Europa,
last
especially
three-
Mr. Europa.
Yeah, Europa.
Mr. Europa.
Yeah, Mr. Europa. Last, what, out of four, he has won three. He only lost with Arsenal, otherwise, he had won. We know that given both teams on paper, our team is way better. The only thing that could hurt us is our fixtures, right? The number of matches that we are playing, and if we pick up some unnecessary injury here or there, that is the only thing that could hurt us. Apart
say
from that,
defense?
I'm 100% confident that.
Or say
Huh?
defense.
What would it?
Or say defense. Our defense could let us down. The way, it happened
Defense.
last night.
I mean, if we play our the main back four,
Yeah.
Shaw, Van Bissaka, Lindelof, and Maguire in front of them, McFred, we will be fine. Last night we had rotations. Bai was playing, he couldn't play. He didn't even look like a centre back. Brandon Williams, I don't remember the last time he played, so obviously he would be out of place. So that works. But if you play with a consistent back four, with a consistent midfield, with a consistent forward line, we will win. I'm 100% sure.
Absolutely. So, Vignesh, coming to you, we all know how desperate we are as a fan base to win a trophy.
Yeah.
But, this tournament and this trophy is much important for Solskjaer because
Yeah.
he is so desperate to prove each and everyone that he is the right guy to manage Manchester United, and he's the right guy
Yeah.
to take us further in our progress, because as a club, if you have started something and if you have believed in a process, then you need to stick by the person who has started the process, and Solskjaer is clearly doing that. But to get full support from the fan base and to get full support from, let's say, the owners as well, he needs to win something. He needs to put
Yeah.
something on the table to let them know that I've done this and I can do better, so you better fund me with the players that I'm demanding. And this one trophy can actually decide our approach in the transfer market, because how we are going to perform in the Europa League, in the finals, and how we are going to perform in the rest of the remaining 5 games in the Premier League will eventually decide our approach in the transfer market. Because I'm so sure, with all the things that are happening around Old Trafford at the moment, we'll definitely get one marquee signing this season. Definitely we are going to get one marquee signing, and it will be Jadon
Yes.
Sancho, and I won't be shocked
100%.
and I won't be
Yeah.
shocked if we end up getting two marquee signings this season. So how important this is for us, Vignesh, to to finish the season well in the Premier League, win our remaining 5 games, because that would mean that we are on the right track and eventually win the Europa League.
Yeah, massive opportunity for us. This, we've crossed that semi-final hustle which were failing to do. So I would say that I think the majority of the focus will be on the Europa League final. I think we'll find in the Premier League. All we'll have to do is just rotate smartly in the Premier League, because you're playing a game every 2 days. So I think that we have a decent enough squad to cope with that. I think the likes of Alex Telles, Van der Beek, Brandon, Nemanja Matic. I mean, these guys are good enough to win you games in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one part. And having lived this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer journey ever since he's arrived, we know how big this will be for him to win the trophy. And this will attract not only the better players, but also I think that narrows down to the fact that now that there is, we're not looking for a centre forward. So Jadon Sancho has to be the number one signing this time around, because Cavani is also staying. So if Cavani was not staying, there would have been a little bit of guessing game who might come. There were names being thrown, that Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, and everybody. But let's be real. We can't sign those two at the given moment.
Absolutely.
We just cannot, given the finances and the COVID situation all. So the only player we can spend on, also Dortmund have lowered the price as well, reportedly, which was around 80 million, something like that. So I think this is a very, very good, huge opportunity for Ole, as you said, to put something on the table and to let the fan base as well, the Ole outers, let them know that I can do this, I can win trophies, and if I have the enough backing, who knows, next season might be our Premier League winning season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Surya, coming to you,
Yeah.
let's say we will sign Jadon Sancho. Let's say we will sign a defensive midfield player as well. Let's say we'll sign a centre back as well. The three areas that we all are so desperate to improve. The three areas that we've been lacking the quality, and the three areas that will actually make us a title contenders. Are you confident that next season, if we end up signing all the primary targets that we are targeting right now, we'll eventually win the Premier League next season? Or say we'll close the gap to Man City and can take the league, challenge till the very last game week?
Obviously, yeah. So what I think is, if we can get those 3 signings, like, it doesn't guarantee a Premier League title for sure, because you have the likes of Man City, who are very strong. So, and the thing is, if we can get those signings, we can put a better title challenge for sure. Like, especially there are a lot of games which we dropped points, like from winning positions, like the games like it's those which make the game against Everton, the game against Leicester. All those 2 points make a difference, and the Sheffield loss, and
The Arsenal
so I
loss.
think if we can get, and if we can get these signings,
That hurts most of any loss.
Yeah. So what I was talking about is, like, especially that game was gone completely from the minute Martial got set up, kind of stuff. So I'm talking about the games where we were almost there, winning, 3 points were staring at us, and then we went out. So I think if we can get these signings, and especially a centre back and a DM, we'll be able to convert these dropped points into 3 points. So that'll ensure that we are closing the gap better. So it doesn't guarantee a Premier League for sure, but I feel we can go toe to toe with Man City till the end of the season.
All right.
I think those 3 signings does guarantee us a Premier League title.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I am pretty confident that if we end up signing our primary targets, the Premier League trophy with red and white ribbons is coming back to Old Trafford. I am pretty sure. I don't care about what pundits are saying in the media. I don't care about what, our rival fans are talking at the moment. All I care about, if we end up signing our primary targets, then this manager will bring the trophy to Old Trafford next season itself. Because this team is ready. All this team needs, and is in dire need at the moment, is the quality. Is the quality. That's it. And the right quality will guarantee us the Premier League title. That's it. Because
Obviously.
look at Man City. The reason they are performing so well at the moment is because they have two players to replace their first team players on each and every position. You look at Chelsea, they were struggling against, under Lampard. But the only reason they were struggling under Lampard was Lampard wasn't managing them in the right manner. They invested 220 million last summer, you know, to improve the quality within the squad. And Thomas Tuchel, since the day he has arrived, he took on the charge, did not took any minute, and has improved them massively. The football has improved. The atmosphere has improved within the squad. The way he has rotated his players is very well. He has managed them very well. To be very honest. While on the other hand, you look at Mikel Arteta, the guy who won the FA Cup last season, the guy who won the Community Shield last season, is struggling to make into the top 6, let alone top 4. So that tells a lot about what the signings can do for you, because he wasn't backed in the summer. He wasn't being provided with the right signings in the summer. He was provided with a 32-year-old Willian, on such a hefty wages. So that tells a lot about the approach of a club. And if United want to compete once again for the title and in the right manner, and want to get back to their level best, then they need to invest well. They need to invest in the right targets and not their second or, let's say, third targets. Because if you will be doing the same mistake again and again, then eventually United will fall down, just like Arsenal have fallen, and there's no doubt about it. So
See, the only point I would like to add here is there's nothing wrong with getting the second or third choice player. I mean, look at City. The Ruben Diaz was never the number one target. I think for them, Harry Maguire was the number one. Then it was Koulibaly, and then it was
Koulibaly.
Yeah. So it was like that. So it as long as your scouting department and
but the signing must fit in the system well. That's it.
No, I agree. So as I said, the scouting, as long as the scouting system works for you, as long as the scouters know that what kind of player the manager exactly needs for the team, and you narrow down that top 3 players which will in any situation will fit into your team. It doesn't matter getting the second or third targeted player.
Absolutely. So coming to an end to this discussion, it has already been 1 hour since we've been discussing about United, and it's
Didn't feel like.
yeah, it doesn't feel like that we have discussed so much in 1 hour.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I have to summarize Solskjaer's season on a whole, I'll summarize in this way that the start will never decide how you are going to finish your journey. The way
Yeah.
you are going to carry yourself throughout that journey will eventually decide what will be the end result of your journey. You can fall under severe circumstances, but the way you will pick yourself up again and again, and you'll decide in your mind that I want to finish this, I want to complete the task that I have started, that I have taken on my shoulders. That will eventually decide your fate. And this is what Solskjaer has done this season. He took the challenge of improving the squad. He took the challenge to finish the season well, from where we were falling down in October. We were in absolute shambles in October. But hats off to the players, hats off to the manager, and hats off to the fans as well, for keeping the patience. Not the large, there is a large section of the fans who is with Solskjaer, but let's say 30% still not convinced that Solskjaer is the right man. And that's why Solskjaer has to win a trophy, and I'm so hopeful that he will eventually win a trophy this season, and it's going to end our trophy drought. So thank you so much, Surya. Thank you so much, Nipun. Thank you so much, Vignesh, for joining today's panel. It was lovely discussing about United, with you guys.
Yeah.
And we'll come back soon. Hopefully, this COVID won't stop us from discussing about United.
Yeah,